This around-the-world journey has a mission: to road test RUFFLY gear and the K9 Moto cockpit.
And to raise $100,000 for Girl Up, a nonprofit close to my heart.
First we rode up to the Arctic Ocean. Then I was hit by a chicken bus.
And our German Shepherd Moxie died from the complications of a routine knee surgery.
Then Swiss Shepherd Whimsy joined our pack, and we rode together through Mexico and Central America.
From Panama, we crossed the Darien Gap by foot.
Now we're setting off from Colombia to reach the bottom tip of South America.
But along the way, we're going to trek over the Andes in Peru.
And then ride into the Brazilian Amazon.
There are big challenges ahead.
But this time, the biggest challenge comes where we least expect it.
This morning we are going down to the airport to finally pick up our motorcycles. I'm very excited to get my bike back. It's a bummer when you're in a place like this and there's all these great places to go to and you're stuck in a taxi, and with this one, it's never easy.
The paperwork is finished, customs is dealt with, so anytime now.
They have arrived. They look to be in good condition. I don't see anything major. They still have the cellophane wrap on them because we've got like our bags and all of our stuff on the top. Con cuidado, Gregory, es mi moto. I had Greg ride my bike onto the lift because I'm wearing my flip-flops still, and Greg's got his hiking boots on. You're not very straight. This way, this way, this way. Hey, hey. I know it's your bike. Esto es mi moto con ella. Entonces la moto se va. Ella es muy preocupada para esto. We're leaving Bogota today and we're heading off about 3.5 hours just northeast of Bogota. There's this really cute town. They've got cobblestone streets. It's like this colonial feel. So I'm really excited to see that. And our Airbnb that we're staying at, it's got a bit of land around it. There's some farmland around. So it's gonna be great for Whimsy to run around and she's gonna be able to be free.
I know this looks like aimless destruction from Whimsy, but that is not at all the case. She has set herself to do the very important and very helpful job of creating kindling for tonight's fire. So she's stripping the bark off the logs like a good beaver.
It's been about a month since we completed the Darien Gap trek, and we've been here getting everything organized so that we can continue our journey south and to start our next challenge, to hike over the Andes, which is going to be happening in Peru. So it's called the...
We can't pronounce it.
Y-Wash circuit. We go over 8 mountain passes, which are at least 4,500 meters, or that's like 14,700 feet.
9 days without the motorbikes is going to be a hardship for all of us, but this is also going to be a pretty exciting thing to do, and so we need to get fit. On the way back from the gym, and we are doing some errands.
Oh my God, Greg!
This is from the butcher.
Oh my God!
Each one of these, like shanks, these are like shanks. Your Jessica's got, what, boring stuff. Little face cream! 60 cents is what this cost me. And it looks pretty good. You need to just chill out, okay? Yeah, give it a go. Give it a go. Watch your toes. Wow, look at her just slink off with this thing.
Not into the bedroom.
Yeah, I guess that rug is pretty old and gross.
Our next country that we're going to enter is Ecuador, And when I was looking at it, it was saying that foreigners that travel by land from either Colombia or Peru into Ecuador need a criminal background check. And this is mainly because they put in a state of emergency as of January 10th for 60 days because they were having, there were gangs and conflicts that were happening in Ecuador, so they put the state of emergency in.
Yeah, use your hands if God had given you hands.
When I looked to see like an FBI check how long it would take, it says 16 to 18 weeks.
There may possibly be a way to go by boat to Brazil from Colombia, and then from Brazil to Peru. We know that you can do.
We reached out this morning to the Minister of Tourism in Ecuador, just telling him about our project a little bit and sort of explaining that it would take like 4 months to get the background check that's required, and if there was any way that like we could maybe like bypass.
Another possibility is simply flying. That's like plan X, because it's lame.
And he just got back to me on Instagram, and he said there was a link that you go check to see what the requirements are to enter, and there's one by land. It does say the thing about that you would need a criminal background check if you're from one of our countries. But in actuality, if you don't have that and you're a tourist, you can submit basically a proposal about when you're coming in, what you plan on doing, and all this information to their like tourism board. And they hopefully within 48 hours of your travel, and they should give you the go ahead in order to enter the country. Whimsy's just a little bit out of sorts this morning. I think it's because she just notices that there's a lot of movement. We woke up especially early to get ready, and she vomited twice this morning already, but I think she's gonna settle in pretty quickly. We're finally leaving this place. It's been about 6 weeks that we've been here, and now finally we've done the work that we needed to do. And now we're actually heading back to Bogota because I'm hearing some clanking on my bike. I think it's when they adjusted the valves at the last servicing, that maybe something's not tightened or something. I can't figure out where the sound's coming from. So we're bringing it back just in case. And then Greg needs to go to the guy who was recovering one of our hard disk drives that ended up failing on us.
It has been in recovery, as they say, for like 6 weeks now, and this guy is like evading and he's difficult. I really feel like I made a huge mistake with this guy. Situation very tense. This place, Unil Lago, is a massive like technology swap meet in Bogota. Like 1 million stores, all of them seem like the same. So I think I picked like the worst guy who's just a total tool, and I feel like a total tool for having picked a total tool. So I'm harassing him the best I can and also giving him skunk face, and we're just hoping that this all works out.
So while Greg is dealing with the hard drive recovery, which has been a bitch of a time, and me, I'm getting everything ready for leaving tomorrow, because we plan to go early in the morning because we've got about a 6-hour drive down to the Tatacoa Desert. We've been trapped. So this ramp that like it lowers so that you can come in and out, the ramp is broken and it's Sunday.
The security guard has called a technician, and it sounds like it's a minimum of a 3-hour thing if they can locate somebody on a Sunday morning, and then assuming that it's not some big issue and it's just a switch that needs to be flipped or something.
Greg has already had a day. He ended up getting peed on when we were at the dog park as we've been waiting for the mechanic to come. We were just sitting there, and all of a sudden the dog came up from behind, lifted a leg, and peed on Greg's jacket.
Hours later, and we are finally escaping the mechanical tyranny of this ramp mechanism that failed on us. We were at the dog park yesterday, and a guy came up to me, and then he asked if we're carrying a weapon, a gun. And I said no, and then joking, I said that I'm carrying a hatchet. And he, oh yeah, that'll do. And I was kind of surprised by that. I mean, generally when you think of like a weapon to protect yourself, I don't know that I'm gonna like tomahawk somebody, although I would if I need to.
Oh my God. Okay, so we needed a break. It's been like 3 hours straight, and we've been looking for a campsite, and we've been trying to follow this river and just been striking out. There hasn't been anything open and accessible.
We started seeing signs for palm wine, vino de palma, and of course I stopped to get some.
Well, I thought it was like alcoholic. I thought this was palm wine.
Oh, absolutely, I did too. So it's not. They serve it here more like a coco frio, like a, you know, cold coconut juice or water or milk.
Yeah.
Milk.
Milk.
And it's like pre-fermentation, so it's really just intended as a refresher. What you do is you put honey on your hand, on your palm here, the opposite of your palm. You drink and then you lick it. Oh. So it's like a backwards version of a tequila shot with the salt.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
He also told me that this is what the Colombian tribe drank when they were fighting the Spanish, and he suggested that it's what made them strong and defeated the Spanish, but I think we speak a lot of Spanish here in Colombia, so I don't know how well that went over. It has been really difficult to find a wild campsite because everything along this beautiful stretch is just barbed wired and fenced in, except this gorgeous, like, what, grassy field.
Yeah, grassy field. It's exactly what we needed, and Greg did a masterful job finding this place.
Yeah, I did.
Whimsy had her all-time high today of activity minutes. She had 716 minutes. Yeah, it's mainly because we woke up early, then we had the whole hoopla with the garage. So it was like 5 up until just now, which was 8 o'clock. She's been on all day. I don't even know if she had any sleep.
It was windy AF all night long. Just absolutely brutal. We had a bit of a tent failure because we didn't set it up quite right, so I had to repair that in the middle of the night. And then it rained.
My toenail, it finally came off, my second toe. It looks really ugly. So now I've got like just that. This used to be there.
Final and belated gift from the Darien. Jesus. Whimsy. Go on, take it.
Whimsy is now a woman, a female. She's in heat. So I went to the convenience store where Greg bought his beer last night, and I told her the situation that my dog is now in heat and I gotta figure out how I'm gonna deal with it. She suggested actually adult incontinence like underwear. So we're gonna give these a try, but supposedly they shrink in and we'll have to cut a hole for the tail. So with Whimsy in heat, I have to make sure that her cockpit is covered because she's got a light gray cushion. I covered it with just a plastic bag and then a towel that we had. So that's gonna be good for when she's laying down, if she's smearing herself. We're in the Tatacoa Desert, and we found this wild campsite. There is a sign, an old sign at the very entrance that says something like, if you want to camp here, give this number a call because you probably have to pay. We tried it, no response yet, but it's a beautiful view here. You're losing your liquid.
Whimsy gets an a la carte dinner of everything that was left over from our lunch today, which includes patacones, some chicken, rice, veggies, French fries, and it's really a well-balanced meal. So take that, big kibble. Now, I'm not kind of a made in America, like all the time, everywhere kind of an American. I think the world has a lot of amazing things to offer. The British make a pretty darn good motorcycle, for example. But when it comes to American whiskey, no one makes it better than Americans. And for a rare time, there is actually tin cup in my tin cup canteen.
I took her bowl, right? I took her bowl from the floor.
Situation rainy and miserable, except we have carrot cake.
Whimsy's been doing great in the rain. I haven't put the rain cover on her because it's been hot and it's cooling her down. The one challenge is her tail that sticks out. The tire's keeping up all the water, so now she's got a gray tail.
So we found ourselves in the ass end of a hotel thing, which is fine. It's the size of a bed, basically. Yeah. Whimsy is speckling.
Yeah, so it's a bit
everywhere.
embarrassing.
Culture clash going on here. This is a hamburger, but it's a Mexican hamburger, which means it has all the jalapenos and everything, but it's also Colombian because it has the plantain as a bun. And this, which is an artisanal beer that has passion fruit in it. With mango pieces and Mexican style because it's got the salt along the rim and more mango pieces on the inside as well as skewered across the top of it.
The bikes were safe and sound last night. Everything was fine. Everything was protected. They closed the gate for this place, so nobody came in except for people who were staying here. And now we're off again. It's a bit of a dreary day again. Look at the sky. We were on our way to Popayan, and a car was flagging us down as we were going through this dirt stretch, and Greg spoke to him, and the guy said that he was attacked 800 meters ahead.
We were told by the guys at the hotel where we stayed, there are armed groups there. And then of course, that's in our mind as we're going, and then we come to the guy in the white sedan. So I talked to the guy and he's saying that there's people up there about 800 meters around the bend. It's a big horseshoe in the highway through the town and then out, and he kind of points up to the hillside after that horseshoe bend. And he says that they have guns, they're armed, and they almost took my car, whatever almost means.
Person with a gun, we're trying to steal his car and everything. And so he advised us to turn around and do this alternative route. But now we just talked to two other people.
So one guy said, this is Colombia, there are armed, guerrillas. Another guy, so I walked down to the little house where we were right there, and asked this guy, and he called up to his brother who lives on that hillside. He's like, see that house way up there? My brother lives there, and he called him, and the brother said, no, everything's fine right now, and anyway, they're not going after tourists.
And the funeral guy said, tack on with somebody else so that there's people who will see it. So we're gonna wait for one of those regional buses or somebody with people on it to go with them, because then maybe we'll be less likely to be attacked.
¿Está todo tranquilo entonces? No había nada.
No, si no pasa nada. Tranquilo.
We didn't see anything. We didn't run into any problems. We were very vigilant. And I kept saying to Jess, keep your knees really bent, very athletic as you ride this. because you need to be ready to turn and burn and not get caught with your knees locked. So I was very focused on the athletic riding position as our best defense to get through this situation.
Food for this morning was a carrot cake cut into 4 pieces. I had 3, Greg gets 1.
And Whimsy is eating horse shit.
Yeah, everyone has their own.
We use our Hydra Pack to filter the tap water as much as possible to avoid using bottled water for our drinking water. It does a great job of keeping our gringo stomachs healthy, but the taste is always hit or miss when it comes to tap water. So whenever there is a natural mountain source of running water, that's the moment to fill up our cactus canteen.
With the basket on her head.
Location, totally unknown. Not a clue. We're in a field, well off the highway, on someone's property who doesn't live around here, and the locals told us that no one comes around here.
So we just pulled off, put the bikes here, and now we're going to camp.
With the basket on her head, came by me casa, and before she would pass her, this is what she said.
Jesse, we've been boiling and now frying these potatoes for like 35 minutes.
Takes a long time when they're raw.
Yeah, we're definitely raw cooking here, and we're raw hungry. We just got into our Airbnb in Pasto. This is, I guess, a garage, really. This is the, like, salon of the motorbikes. And it's right here looking in on the kitchen.
We're getting ready to head over to Woof, Colombia, because the dog looks like this. She is full of mud, and she's on her period, so she needs to be a little bit bathed and cleaned.
So I have created the wristy cam. This is my quad lock like armband for jogging, and I've used a clip with for the GoPro, and that means that in appropriate locations I can remove this hand while riding and use it to get incredible dynamic camera shots, or that's the idea at least.
Today's supposed to be the Trampoline of Death, which is people say is a difficult road. You know, and that's not the thing that I'm most concerned about. I think I'm concerned about leaving this place and making sure that I've gotten all those little droplets of blood that Whimsy's left behind. So we've been riding along here on the Trampoline of Death, and is it that like deadly? No, but like the road doesn't really have a guardrail everywhere. It is wet and muddy, but it's not slick. They've really created a nice road here, and it's transited. Like you're seeing people pass by. Like it's not bad at all. And we've just been taking our time coming down. I let some of the bigger trucks pass me when they're faster, just because like I don't want to bump along in all the potholes, because that's what it basically is, it's potholes. The trampoline of death has surely been the death of Whimsy's white tail.
Oh, do you see that? Catch. There have been some tough sections. I would call them a little bit of a sphincter clencher, just because it really is narrow. It gets a little bit more gravelly. In these conditions, there's a lot of water on the road.
We're still about 45 minutes to Mocoa, where the trampoline of death ends. We got stopped here in the rain because they're still doing road construction. So it's like a 20-minute wait while we're waiting in the rain. And everything has turned to shit here, full of mud. It's getting a little bit more slippery. There's still some good gravel, but now we've got all this additional mud on top. So I'm not looking forward to crossing where they're doing the construction, because that's always where there's like huge mud things. We made it through the trampoline of death. We went through rain, we went in the mud, we did great. And we made it to the end of a full day of riding, like over 7 hours of riding. But that's not what I'm excited about. I'm excited that Whimsy is now 66 pounds. She is 30 kilos. She has gained like 8 pounds in like the past month. So this is good. She's on her way to becoming a big dog.
We haven't eaten, so we're getting hangry. And we are now at the vet in Mocoa. Oh, Whimsy, shame. Because we are planning to cross the border tomorrow. We're gonna see if they can do the documents for Whimsy today. First though, it's all about peeing and pooping. We've run into lots of trouble with this online system. To try to do the online payment for Whimsy's exportation document, every time you try, the system gets jammed up for a good 30 minutes. We've got basically 2.5 hours till we get to the border, and this is supposed to be completed by then. And so you only have a certain number of times you can try this thing.
We've tried 3 times to download this thing to be able to pay for Whimsy's permit to get out of Colombia. So we came over and we saw this drugstore. We saw that they had Wi-Fi. Greg went and asked if we could just use their Wi-Fi for a second because nothing was working for me. Finally, it worked very well. I was able to get the document open so I can pay for it. I've got it, I saved it, so I think we're good to go now. And we got about an hour left to get to the border before the guy stops. We're here at the Ecuador border, and it's taking a while. We've been here since 12. It's about 3 o'clock. Greg is just getting through his bike to import it into Ecuador, his temporary import, and then he has to do mine. So we're still gonna be another hour or so. You know, there's the sound above me, and I think that there are rats up in the ceiling. There's this hole up here, which I can hear some noises coming from it. I have a strong feeling that they're rats, and I was a bit concerned that there is that hole and that they're gonna poop on me, but because I seem to have the track record of animals pooping on me.
Hours later.
Like really hours. We left this morning at what time? At like 6, and we got here at 12 with all of the traffic stuff and the construction. And then,
having to pay for the thing.
Yeah.
Online.
And so then it took us 4 hours here to get 2 bikes
and
this is dog. We only had her to get her out, not to get her in, and ourselves.
And this is the sleepiest, easiest, like
most. Nobody. We were the only bikes in 4 hours. The only vehicles in 4 hours.
Maybe one vehicle.
No, they left. They didn't get their.
They just gave up.
They came for the people were at lunch, and so they left. This is our speed. We're in the last restaurant on a side street that's empty.
It is our together-versary. What's a together-versary? Well, that's when we started together. Now, it also happens to be our anniversary but we focus more on that because basically this was just a green card marriage. And still
But
is.
it is our 10-year green card marriage.
And our 12-year together anniversary, although I don't like to say any of that because it dates us.
This whole Whimsy and heat thing is a whole new experience for us. Never had a dog that's been in heat. And it's tough. And I feel like Greg is using it against me, and he's saying that now I should understand how it feels for him when I'm up and down during my time. Didn't think that was very appropriate, but I can understand it, I guess.
There's no way that I'm including that.
Everything's been going well. We have blue sky. It's been nice roads for the most part. Everything going really well. And then all of a sudden, like we were coming to some of the dirt stretches where I wanted to switch my mode on my Tiger to off-road, and my mode button isn't working. I don't know, it was raining a lot the last few days. My bike has been outside. Could water have gotten in there? Maybe. So we're gonna take it apart here and see if there's some moisture or something that we can try and sap up so that it can dry a little bit, because there is about 70 kilometers of unpaved road that we're going to be on here, and I really would like to have it in off-road mode, because then the traction control is off, so you don't get that feeling like when you go over a bump it's trying to withhold the power, and then all of a sudden like you spurge forward. No luck with getting the screwdriver to open up the switch area to dry it out. We don't have one that's that small. I've looked on the interwebs, and it basically said that it's probably because it got wet. And there's some water in the connection. And so it is bright and sunny out, 32 degrees right now in the sun. Maybe that'll start to warm it up a little bit. If there's any dirt or water in there, maybe it'll evaporate. It took about an hour for my switch to dry off so that I could actually change my mode. When we were at the waterfall, we had the bike sitting out in the sun for about, I don't know, 10-15 minutes while we were hanging out. By the time I came back and turned it on again, I was able to click mode and turn it into off-road mode. I am so thankful that that actually worked, because when you give power to go through one of those, the traction control turns on when you're on road mode. And then it stays on in on-road mode, and in off-road mode it turns off.
But when you ride off-road with it on-road,
yes,
and those things are on,
yes,
then they'll go off.
Yes.
When you hit a rivet in the road.
Quite true.
And then you're gonna be
off the bike.
Look through, look through, look through.
So my mode button is again not working, and of course it didn't work at this stretch, which is the most difficult and steep area, and my traction control was going on and off, and so I was getting all of these surges.
How was that with the on-road, off-road, on-road?
I definitely felt the traction control issue, but it was okay.
So I talked to the owners that are just kind of around the bend, and they were working on their homestead. And I asked them if we could camp here, and they were very obliging. Gourmet meal for Whimsy. We have leftover soup here, and we've got a little bit of kibble in here for some substance. Substance?
Sustenance.
Yeah. So there it is. Wimple. Dine hard. Enjoy. Now bump. Feet. That's too close to the table. Faux pas on my part. Go on.
I think that my favorite part of camping is that when Greg comes in and he brings me my coffee in bed. Oh, it's fantastic. So I lugged both of the Tillamook's up from down at our campsite here. And we're at 2,600 meters right now. The trek across the Andes is going to be something like 5,000 meters. So it's giving me a little bit of anxiety, because that was hard for me. Over the Andes, here we come.
This is more Darien style, just kind of carrying all your stuff like in your hands and draping off your shoulders.
Rain is only water falling, a growing happy garden. Alright, look where we started.
This is, I don't know where. It's off of a road, another road, and another road, and then we talked to some people who, you know, are watching the cows around here, and they're like, oh, it's lovely, you can stay, don't worry about it, enjoy yourself. It's got this epic view. Whimsy is chewing on a stick and barking at the cows, and so this is very us.
It's pretty spectacular, the views that we've got on both sides. I think I'd like this view better than that one. That one has like more of the city. This is all rural. But yeah, a great place to end up tonight.
It's very easy to know yourself. It's a lot harder to accept who you are.
We're in the middle of all of these farms, all this agriculture, and there's some cows up ahead. And we're gonna watch something on my computer, and my Wi-Fi was on. I looked at it. Look at all of these networks that are there. Where are all these people? There are like no houses here. Greg's been having a little challenge this morning because he's out there making us coffees, and Whimsy, with her being in heat, is attracting dogs in the neighborhood. And there's this male dog who's now come, and he is whining for her. And so we have Whimsy tied up so that like we can control her, because she's also not listening very well. And it just ups the tempo again. Now she wants to get to this male wants to get to her, the dog is peeing on everything. I took a bit of a tumble here. I made a wrong turn as I was coming out. Like, it's loose here. And just somehow I lost it and the bike went over. I flew off. Whimsy was fine in here. And we're only just a minute away, so I'm just gonna let her run the rest of the way because this is not really well packed. So it was quite the entry coming into the Tokachi Lighthouse. The road, it went to sand with the rain and everything. I got a bit slick.
So this place is very much GoRUFFLY. We have hills and we have grasslands and some trees, views and air, and we are surrounded by nobody. And yeah, there's even a jacuzzi. So this is very much our speed, and so long as the internet is strong enough, the whole idea here is to get the Across the Darien miniseries posted, finished and posted, and then dive deeply into the impending challenge coming up, which is the Huayhuash Trek in Peru.
It's going to be a 10-day hike across these mountains. And look, I'm out of breath just talking at 2,700 meters. We're going to be up around like anywhere from 3,000 up to 5,000 on the passes. So there's a lot of elevation. And this is my way, or Greg's way, of getting into shape.
I'm pretty well convinced that rucking is about the best kind of travel exercise that you can do. And really, you're just doing what people have been doing since the beginning of time, which is carrying heavy weight over distance. Jess's mode button is not working, and this is one of those cases where like the tiniest little switch, and yet if you can't put it into off-road mode, then your traction control is going off or on, your ABS aren't right, and you're on dirt roads where you've got big trouble. And then my front fork has blown, and so it's bled out and is basically, you know, DOA.
Está roto el perno.
El amortiguador de atrás.
Botador porque está roto. Ya estuvo tiempo partido porque mira, está oxidado.
Sí, es del interior y está con óxido, entonces ya va algún tiempo partido.
When she rides in the car, she's just depressed, so she just lays down because she can't see or smell anything because the windows are up and she can't get her snout out. So this is all she does.
I put the house keys in my tank bag this morning as we left, and the bike stayed in Quito, and so did the tank bag with the keys. So we've got an hour and a half out of Quito here to our Airbnb pueblo and no keys.
So we had to climb the fence. We brought all of our groceries up and over the fence. We were able to find a way to get Whimsy through the barbed wire. And I let our host know what we did. And he said that, well, the cleaning ladies might have a key.
Of course, it's like an uphill trek both ways. So he lets them know I go over there and our crisis is solved, right? Except in solving our crisis, I created another one that was bigger. I've triggered alarms all throughout the community, no joke. I passed by one house and the dogs went bonkers. And they were yelling, and I thought they were yelling at the dogs, like to get them off of me, like get them, you know, because like I got big boots. They were apparently yelling at me because I'm an unknown. And now all of a sudden an alarm went off further up the community, up the hill here. A like World War II air raid siren goes off, like no joke, like serious. And so I make a joke, like, are they bombing us? What's that about? They said, well, when there's somebody that they don't know, they set off the alarm. And then I sort of realized, I'm the stranger. I'm the intruder here. And they had been trying to call to me and I ignored them. So now they've called down to say that I'm coming back, that I'm just a guest at the lighthouse in Tocachi. We had a good laugh and the siren was turned off and now the community can go back to being restful on a Friday night.
Estamos desarmando esta suspensión que parece que no tiene mucho tiempo de uso. Le hiciste un cambio de aceite hace no mucho, ¿no? En Colombia. Y mira cómo sale. Entonces, el aceite salió muy mal. ¿Qué pasa? Para hacer un buen mantenimiento de la suspensión es bueno desarmar toda íntegra, desarmar los cartuchos, desarmar todo, limpiar todo, verificar que los resortes de los retenes estén bien, que todo esté bien. Y obviamente acá adentro, ¿no? Porque a veces cuando no limpias bien o limpias con gasolina, pasa lo que pasó acá, que ese aceite tiene menos de 2000 kilómetros y mira cómo salió. Aquí está tu resorte progresivo, que le hace más pequeña a la suspensión, a la moto, no que se aplaste más, porque esto de aquí se colapsa muy fácil, mira. Con la mano le puedo colapsar. Sí, es una buena opción para hacer un low-weight.
So the important lesson here for traveling is that if you change out the fluid in one tube, change it out in both, or at least keep track of what fluid is in one so that when you change it out in the other, you're consistent. Because all of a sudden, you know, the compression is totally different and it's just because they're two different brands of fluid. Well, they've adjusted it so that they're both at the right height and so it's going to go like this instead of like this.
Exactly, yeah. The idea is that both suspensions work at the same time. So if we have lowering in the back, we are going to have the front suspension lose the tire grip, and we don't want that. We always want to have the same grip on the front tire that in the rear tire. Look how the rear suspension works and the front suspension works. It works more on the rear than the front.
Seeing the rear.
On the front,
yeah, the front we're not really
the front
moving.
is not actually moving. ¿Cómo te sientes en altura ahí?
It's
Yeah,
No, that's Jessica.
with my rubber shoes.
This means that Jessica had her suspension awful from the beginning. Completely
I
off.
thought it was so good. I was so proud of my bike. I felt like it was working so well. The speed bumps, I was so much better. But no.
In other cases, you will have here a top case or a dry bag or something that is putting weight on the back. And maybe this is better because you have weight here and here. So
Whimsy igual está un poco más atrás del asiento, entonces el peso que ella hace más palanca en la suspensión positiva. Entonces obviamente para compensar eso tienes dos opciones.
The best thing to do is change the spring. But right now we don't have in stock a spring for their weight. So the thing we're gonna do is to put an spacer on of the spring. So we are gonna give the shock more preload adjustment.
Avísenme cualquier cosa que necesiten, estamos a las dos.
Muchísimas gracias.
A las dos, con un gusto. Chao. Chao, chao.
So it's been about a month since.
And I was like staring at the.
Get your face.
Yeah, I didn't have my face on. Glorious departure from Bogota in the bowels of this Airbnb apartment building that we are staying at. We only lost a very small bit, and so I am enormously relieved. And
Gregor. And then we also have the patacones, which Greg loves, with the
an excellent wild campsite. Situation, awful night's sleep. Whimsy, how is that the moment to... Are you kidding me? You have the camera going like this, Jesse. Look at the lines. It tells you. So that sucks.
So I wasn't ready to stop feeding.
Bun, which is like, hold on. I got crazy, I can't hear myself. That's it. Yeah, a whole lot of not very much today. We were supposed to get our bike stolen. Yum, 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 yum. The leaping off point for the trampoline of death. Boy, that I didn't mean that pun exactly.
It took about an hour. This is like a little, like, secondary, tertiary, quaternary road.
So one of the bloopers. Whimsy, are you waiting in line?
Later? She's like, are we going together?